describing. I don't remember doing it, but whatever. First, let me start off with a warning. I got a lot of thank yous, so pour yourself another glass of wine. I don't mind. Yeah, okay. To everyone in the Hall of Fame committee, this is truly a career highlight. To Vicki and Rhonda and Lucilla, thank you for all the coordination for tonight. It's an incredible, wonderful evening to be here. To Rachel, David, Don, and Pete, thank you for all your support and for spending another late night here at school. And to our athletic directors, Scott and Willis, and of course the brains behind them all, Casey. This truly means the world to me. You know, when the committee told me about this honor last spring, I started to think about the past 30 years at RE, and so many emotions and people rushed through my mind. Trust me when I say I've lost a lot of sleepless nights thinking about what I could say tonight. And how do you put into words, you know, all that's happened and all the teams and players in just a few minutes? Well, here we go. Congratulations to the inductees, Ben and Aaron. Aaron, I definitely have to talk about you for a second. You've made such a remarkable impact at Ransom and beyond. But I knew you were special that very first day you walked into the fitness room. You sat down, a little cocky. Not gonna lie, I was afraid. I can still see it. You were on a blue mat in the back by the mirror. But the next day you came back, and I've been impressed with you ever since. You were the starting catcher as a 6th grader on the varsity softball team. Because, why not, right? I will never forget that. And that wasn't even your sport, like you mentioned. I remember going home and telling Bart that this could be one of the best athletes to ever walk the halls, and I'll stand to that to this day. It was an absolute pleasure to teach you and to coach you in middle school. Please know to this day, I'm still one of your biggest fans. I'm beyond humbled by this honor, and I look around the room and see so many people I've coached with, learned from. David Clark and Don Cramp, we both coached varsity football together. Gave us some memories, some we need to forget. Mike Decker, I know he just actually couldn't be here tonight, but he was actually my 11th grade teacher for a minute. Don't even go there. We then worked at Palmer together, and then we worked at FIU together. And now we're both in the Hall of Fame here and at Palmer. I think that's pretty cool. Thank you to my former athletes. Some of you are like Preston, Willis, Renee Burke, and OJ this year are now my colleagues. Thomas, we both remember the stories from when you played football for me. Now we get to reminisce about these every day. When I teach alongside you and coach again with you, I'll promise to keep most of the stories to myself. Most of them. And when your daughters come to RE, I'm going to have more stories. To the people at my table, my coach are strong women. Allie, thank you for representing all the faculty I've worked with all these years throughout my career. Lazo, she told the story just at the table just now. In 1995, we started at RE together. I coached her for 11 out of 12 seasons that she played at RE. I even roomed with her mom on the Keys trips. Softball, I know. Sorry. She even said this before. We've been together so long, we don't know who needs more therapy, me or her. But now I get the opportunity to watch her kids grow up, so it's a special case. Christy and Ramona, we've been through it all. We've taught together, we've coached together. Yeah, Christy coached. We've supported each other throughout every professional and personal challenge for over 30 years. I taught your kids, I coached Preston, and while getting to work with her last year was probably really a career highlight for me. Ramona, or do I say my work wife? We're not sure how we made it, but have you seen our office, how small it is? We've been together for a long time. Plus, and it still works together, so thank you both for everything. Don and Penny, our friendship strengthened when I needed it the most. You were there through some really tough times, and I will always be indebted to you. Penny, you're the only other female coach in this Hall of Fame, so it's an honor tonight to be able to stand beside you. been my constant. Our weekly 6:15 a.m. Wednesday phone calls have gotten me through more than just the work week. We solve every problem there is in this world in those conversations, so thank you for always being here. To my family, my brother Greg. Oh, hi, how are you doing? My brother Greg and my sister-in-law Dana, thank you for being here tonight, even when your daughter had a game, I know. You both understand what it takes to be in sports and coach. Dana, your dad was in the NBA as a head coach and WNBA as a head coach. You definitely understand what it takes. Greg rose to the highest level of football officiating. He refereed a national championship game in college football. So even though Willis can attest how much I love officials. How many plays does it take for me to get on it? 4 or 5. Okay. I took the under last week. They know how much, and now I get to watch my niece and my nephew continue along in the sports world, so your support means everything. Thank you. Bart, I asked you to speak because somebody would be just as nervous as me. But he's been by my side for most of my RE career. Well, it's actually been a lot longer, but that's another story we can talk about. But for the last 20 years this time, you've handled the house, minus the cleaning and minus the cooking. But he did the school runs. He did the family load so I could teach and coach, as my kid says, other people's kids. You might be the only husband, well, you probably are, the only husband in America to serve as his wife's assistant football coach. Thank you for being my rock. Logan is always she was always my biggest cheerleader, even though she definitely knows what I feel about cheerleaders. I've missed so much over the years because of coaching, those late nights and the weekends. But tonight she's missing because she's doing what she loves. Even though I missed a lot because of those late nights, she saw the hard work, my passion, and the determination. Now she's embodying those qualities in her path in the theater world. I'm just so glad it's an indoor activity. So if I've missed anyone, please know it's very hard to put 30 years into a few minutes, but you mean the world to me, so thank you. 10 years ago, I was inducted into the Palmer Trinity Athletic Hall of Fame as a coach. The night before that ceremony, my dad passed away. I was inducted with my family by my side. Doc was there, Ramona and Don were by their side to support me also. But I wasn't really present that night. Tonight, 10 years later, I'm incredibly honored to do this again, this time at RE. And I'm going to go ahead and soak up every minute. Sorry, guys. And as I tell my soccer players, I always tell them to be where your feet are. And tonight, I'm here fully. Let me go back for a moment. I was a student athlete at FIU, and my sophomore year, I had the opportunity to coach varsity soccer at Palmer. As a 20-year-old, I was coaching 3 varsity high school sports. A few years later, I had the opportunity to become an assistant coach at FIU, like Bart said. While we had the program's most successful 2 years in the history of the school, I saw firsthand what Division I sports was all about. And it wasn't about the players. When it became a choice between doing what's right or winning, I knew I had to walk away, and I did. That experience absolutely shaped me. I realized that coaching couldn't just be about the scoreboard or the bottom line like it is in college. It had to be about the kids. When I look back at my 31 years at RE, it's always been about the players. As an athlete myself, I never had one coach who made a difference in my life. In fact, most of my coaches were just the opposite. They belittled, they graded me. I never saw a female coach, let alone a head coach, until I became one. I saw what it could be like through people like Dave Hewitt, Marty Migliaccio, and Mark Oliver, and then it changed me. I knew if I really listened to my athletes, they would tell me what they needed. If I gave them that, then they would show up for their team. My job became about building those relationships and being very intentional. Pat Summitt used to say, treat every player differently, but equally. I took on that philosophy, find out what every kid needs, they'll show up for you and their teammates. That's how they buy into your program, and then winning always took care of itself. Let me give you 2 quick soccer stories. One year, starting center mid, a junior came to us during preseason. After a practice, she said she wanted to focus on volleyball. She wanted to play in college and needed to make a tough call to play club volleyball and not play school soccer. My assistant started listing every reason why she couldn't quit. but I could see the emotion on her face, and I understood what it took for her to come to us and let us know of her choice. I gave her a hug, wished her well, and told her we'd be her biggest fans. Then the coach and me walked into the office and cried. A couple of years later, another extremely talented player told us she was done with soccer. She didn't want to be out there anymore and be part of the team, but as I listened to her, I knew she needed it. She needed us, and she needed her teammates, so I stayed with her. She would show up for practice, most of the time with a bunch of excuses why she wasn't going to practice. She started out the year playing very, very few minutes. By the end, midway of the year, she was playing full time, and she was the force we knew she would be. She changed her life and those around her. That first sister who quit ended up coming back and becoming all-day Miami Herald for soccer. Both sisters needed something different, and they both got what they needed from athletics. That's what coaching is about. And it's about more than just a team. Before Reach existed, our softball teams were building houses for Habitat for Humanity. I still have photos of Mary Hurst and Lazo on the roofs with hammers.
Nails.
That was probably a bad idea thinking about it now. I mean, Mark Oliver wouldn't even get up there, would he? But I knew they had to experience something more than themselves, and they needed to do that. They needed to experience that together as a team. Coaching football was always a dream. In high school, when people would ask what I wanted to do in the future, I always joked I wanted to be a high school head football coach. I know, high aspirations, right? What you want to do, but no, me, I wanted to be a high school football coach. Well, I got close. I got plenty of stories from coaching football. You know, when I went and registered for the Nike football clinic, they always asked me who my husband was or if I was the athletic trainer. Once the ref even came into the defensive huddle and said, "Get the cheerleading coach out of the defensive huddle." Right now? That's why I hate refs. But the best part of that was the boys' reaction to it. They got adamant with that ref that I was their coach. I was being one of the first female coaches in the country starting back in 1989. I had to work harder than any male counterpart. No matter what you think of Tommy Tuberville now, he spent hours with me as a defensive coach at UM. Jimmy Johnson used to let me attend practice and the summer workouts. Who would have thought those two would have, taken a girl out with them? But they did. I was always tested, and the players always felt it at the time, but they never backed away from the test because they were always prepared. I didn't set out to be a female football coach. I just wanted to coach. Now, all this time later, like Bart said, I'm probably the longest ran everybody's football coach here, male or female. Growing up, my opportunities in sports were limited. Ballet, tap and jazz, baton. I was in the Orange Bowl parade. Woo! A great hit of limited athletic opportunity before Title IX kicked in. But once I found team sports, everything changed. I never had a female coach until I became one, and now I've had the privilege of helping change that for the next generation. So many of my players become coaches. Another thing I'm so proud of. If they can see it, they can be it. Rachel always says that. Women's sports are evolving again, like Aaron, and while I'm glad to see there's more money and attention being poured in, I hope we don't lose sight of how critical it is to have women leading women's teams. It matters. It matters because our kids are watching, right? There's a saying that goes, sports creates your character. But I've always disagreed with that statement. I've always felt that sports reveals exactly who you are during those tough times. So I hope my character is spoken so that the players, my family, my colleagues, my friends who have been part of this 30-plus year journey, thank you. I hope I've made a difference and continue to make a difference. I hope I've given my athletes something to believe in. When all is said and done, they might not remember the record, which she probably does because we were pretty good. But they're good. But they'll remember the stories, the relationships, and how we made